Hi, my name is Benjamin Marty. People call me Ben. And I created the Scrolling Game Development Kit a while back and did some videos about how to create games with that some people found pretty interesting. And so I figured since I'm enjoying ChatGPT so much and people are making games with that now too, making some videos of that, I figured I'd try demonstrating what I've been doing with ChatGPT and making games as well. So I'm going to start by bringing up, showing you how to get to ChatGPT. If you go to openai.com, if you've never been there before, there's this try link at the top next to ChatGPT that will take you to the page where you can start interacting with this chatbot. And before I get into that, I will just show what I've already played around with. I created a site at enigmadream.com/AI where I wrote out all the prompts that I wrote to have the chatbot help me make 4 types of games here. And this is a result. They're very simple because the chatbot is kind of limited in the length of the output, so I had to do it kind of piece by piece. But this is what I ended up with my very simple initial testing, playing around with this. So there was a tanks game, and these were all 100% of the code was generated by the AI, and I was just copying and pasting it into a notepad. And so then there was another asteroids. It took a few more prompts. I played around with that one for a while to get it, and it wasn't as successful, but it was kind of interesting. The bullets in this one don't break up the asteroids, but the ship does rotate, wrap around, and the bullets wrap around and can shoot. And then I tried asteroids again with not quite as many prompts, and I got it to work a little better this time around. Of course, chatbot doesn't give you deterministic results, so every time you do something, you could end up with slightly different results, and sometimes you'll have to finagle it to get the results you want, because sometimes the output that it gives is not entirely correct. So this one, you can see the asteroids are breaking up, and if I shoot one of these smaller ones, if I can hit one, yeah, it breaks it up into even smaller pieces. And then finally, I did try playing around with text adventure, because one of the things that chatbot's good at is being creative and coming up with colorful text. So I asked it to create some text for a text adventure, and I think that's what I can try and demonstrate today. So I told it to turn it into a web page, and it's got a kind of a small, simple world where you can go north, take some actions, south, east, dig a hole. It says you dig a hole in the sand and find hidden treasure chests, and then you can open the treasure. But we'll see what kind of result we end up today if I try a similar text adventure and see what we get. So let's say create a text adventure, and I want to put it in a DHTML. I found that HTML5 web pages are the best way to get games out of chatbot, because it's all kind of a single file, one set of code. Can create a whole game, because that includes all the code and the UI, whereas a lot of other languages you kind of got to separate the code for the UI and the business and the game logic. So HTML5 I've decided is the easiest way, at least for me, to get chatbot to give me some code in kind of a single package. So I'm going to ask it to create a text adventure in an HTML5 web page. And it's giving me an outline of how to do it without giving me any actual code yet. And when it's done, I guess I will ask it to show me some code, just so I can do what I did before and not have to write anything myself, but have it do all the coding for me. Oh, it is doing the coding. Here we go. So it's giving a very basic structure, and I'll just copy that just to see what it looks like at this point, even though this is far from where we're going to end up, I think. Create a new web page here. And then I'll open it. And so it's got kind of a framework of a text adventure, but of course nothing actually does anything yet. So let's see what we can ask it for to actually give us some response to our input. Say generate some locations, and we'll just see what it gives us with that. So it's going to give us some examples of specific locations like forest, castle. I'm not sure if it's thinking of putting all those in one or having one adventure with a single theme. Looks like it's thinking each of these would be its own adventure. Underwater world. Let's try underwater world. Let's suggest that it makes a whole adventure around underwater world and see if unless it comes up with one automatically here. Yeah, let's generate some locations for an underwater text adventure. Coral reef, shipwreck, submarine. It's got some ideas of what kind of descriptions would go with each of these. I'm not sure if it's thinking of putting interactive elements in these locations, but if it doesn't, we could certainly request that. I'll say, since it only gave me the examples, it didn't give me code, I'll say add these locations to the example code. So here you can see it's generating some description text for a coral reef. Now, it's not really coded in a very oh, there it is. Well, it's kind of duplicating the text here. It's got a description. So this is kind of the beginning of the text adventure, and then here are descriptions of places you can go. It seems a little odd to me that you would have the beginning be separate, not be one of the locations. So I'm going to ask it to try and incorporate the starting location into the well, it's not really generalized this location information either. It's got a separate variable for each location. So I'm going to ask it to try and generalize this. Like I said, it doesn't always give the right answer or the best answer, but if you know how code is best written, you can suggest that it clean it up somewhat. With varying degrees of success. I've had to fight with chatbot before, so let's see if it'll do it for me. Can the location data or descriptions information be represented in a JSON structure for easier maintenance. So far, we're having pretty good luck with his responses. It's doing what I want, doing what I ask without too much. In some iterations of the chatbot, you have to have had to kind of fight with it to give you information. It says, "I'm just a chatbot. I can't do such and such." But they recently opened it up a little more to be more successful at giving answers instead of constantly telling you that I'm just a chatbot. I'm just a predictive text engine. I can't do such and such. So it's gotten a little easier recently. So here we see we've got a JSON structure. Oh, it kind of reformatted it in the middle of outputting it there. But yeah, it's got a name and a description for each location. And then it's going to show us how to incorporate that into the HTML, it looks like. And sure, this would be easy to write manually, but it would take a little longer, and I might take a little longer just to try and be creative. But and since I'm not an HTML5 expert, I think it's helping me figure out and remember some of the HTML5 syntax that might take me a little longer to remember without the help of a chatbot. So depending how much of an expert you are, chatbot may or may not help you go faster than you otherwise. Now here you see it's cut off the response because there is a limit on how long its responses can be, and sometimes you have to tell it to break up its output, or sometimes you can tell it to just continue and it'll pick up where it left off. Actually, I saw in the Discord channel this morning that some people are having better success saying continue where you left off so that it doesn't repeat stuff and get cut off again. Continue where you left off. So it looks like it started at the beginning of the line. Let's see. So it had checked north, and then it's checking south. And it looks like it doesn't check east or west. But it's got this locations.json. Now let's say I want to include that JSON in the same file so I don't have to split this up. Although it might be good to split it up just because of how limited its response size is. If we keep it split up, it will not try and put it all in one file, and it'll be able to kind of give it to me in bite-sized pieces if I just put it in the JSON. So let's copy this JSON into its own file. And save that as, I think it was locations.json. Okay. So I've got that on my desktop now as well. And if I copy the rest of this into the HTML file, should still be runnable. Oh, a little confused here. Why is it showing me? Oh, let's just copy the whole thing. this is checking if the input is south, and the whole code that it gave me is also doing that. So that should be the whole thing. Let's do a refresh and see what it's behaving like now. And let's say, yeah, so let's say north. And nothing happens. So I think that's because it's only given us, it doesn't realize that it hasn't given us everything we need and that we want to actually show where we are. So I'm going to, rather than try and figure out why it's doing that, I can ask chatbot, or I can just tell chatbot what the problem is here. And I can say, when I enter north, no new description appears. So I was going to try and explain what might cause this quote-unquote bug. Make sure you've correctly spelled the names. So if I type south, yeah, I don't think there's any code here. What does update description do? So it looks like it should be trying to update the description. So let's read what it's saying. If you're still having, let's see, so the things I want to do is make sure I've correctly spelled the names. Well, I didn't write them, so I just copied and pasted. That should be correct. Check the spelling of north and south. Make sure you have correctly spelled referenced current room. And check the browser console. Let's do that because that's what I often see problems in the console. I push F12 and it opened DevTools, and we do see some errors here. So let's check access to fetch. So there's an issue. I think I've seen this in Schooling Game Development Kit, where if you're running the game locally, there's some weird security issues. And let's see if chatbot knows how to get around those. I'll just paste that error message in here. Yep, security feature. So there are a few different ways you can work around it. So we could copy it to an actual web server. So let's see, what do I want to demonstrate? I could put this on a web server, but people who are watching this video might want to be able to know how to run this all locally. So I am going to try prompting chatbot to give me another solution. Is there any solution if we want to run the game locally? So it's going to show us how to use XML HTTP request. And it got cut off. So let's just say continue where you left off. So it's going to perform a GET request on the locations.json file. I have my doubts that this is going to work because that's still, I don't know why that would not be subject to the same security restrictions that we are with the normal JSON fetch the fetch function. But we'll see how it goes. So this is just the, starting with open. Let's see if I can find what that replaces here. It's probably going to replace this fetch. So I will copy, well, I guess I'll just copy the whole thing and put it in place of the fetch. And see how close this gets us. And I guess you gotta pay attention a little bit to try and guess what code needs to be replaced. So I've copied it down to checking for south, and I suppose I should tell it to, well, let's just find where south was down here and delete, delete it so that it kind of matches where it left off, and see if that even parses. No, it's got a problem on line 63. Alright, so let's tell it to continue. And maybe we can get the whole block of code. So I got the parentheses mismatched somewhere. Copy that and paste it under south. Well, no, paste it starting with the line south. And fix the indentation. Let's see if that parses better. Nope, still got now we got a problem on line 52. So right above the south line, there's something mismatched here. Yeah, the closing brace, I didn't catch that. So I'm going to put the closing brace on this line and refresh again. Now there's a problem on line 63, which is the end of the script. Alright, so I'm going to ask it to split things up a little bit just so I can see what piece goes where. Oh, it did try and show me the whole code, so I'm going to say continue where you left off. And see if I can get something that I can just copy wholesale into the text editor. It's interesting how it keeps trying to end its responses with a kind of summarizing, showing the whole code, when we all know there's not going to be room for that much output. So after this much fiddling around, it might not be worth all of this effort if this XML HTTP request object isn't going to get around the security issue, and I might have to just go to embedding the JSON directly in the file. But here's hoping that its suggestion will work. What I did for Scrolling Game Development Kit, when the graphics used to be in separate files and I had a security issue trying to load the graphics into the HTML5 file, is I did have to embed the graphics in the same file as base64 content. So I'm kind of doubtful that there's another way to do this, but we'll see. So copy the whole HTML content and paste it in here. I'm surprised it actually fit it all this time. I guess since this response didn't have a whole bunch of other stuff mixed in this time, it was able to fit it all. And then refresh and see if it's working better this time. Now it says access as I feared from origin null has been blocked. So I'll just put this in here again and see if it has any idea how to fix that. Yeah, it's going to give me the same choices of putting it online as it did before. So I think, as you can see, it thinks it knows the answer to something, some problem, and it gives you an answer that is just plain wrong. So you kind of got to fight it sometimes. Fetch. Yes, it's going to tell us to go back to fetch, which was the thing that was failing in the first place. So I'm going to tell it, let's just embed the JSON in the same file. Well, I don't have to tell it about that. I can just do that part myself, just so it doesn't run out of room when it's trying to give me the whole content. And since I kind of know enough about what I'm doing here, I think I can just put this in here. It's pretty straightforward. So I'm going to say const, where is it putting this eventually? It's getting it into locations. So I'm going to say const locations equals all of that JSON data. And then I don't need any of this in the callback for when that finishes loading, because it loads as the script block loads. So I'll unindent all of this. And I think this document stays indented. Let's see if that's correct. Alright, so I think it loaded everything. Let's type north and see if anything happens. Now it says uncaught type error, cannot read properties of undefined. Let's give that to chatbot and see if it has an idea how to fix that. Meanwhile, I'll go look and see if I have an idea what it's talking about. It says cannot read properties of undefined. This is on line 29. So it's looking in description, and there's this description element here. Trying to set the inner HTML to current room dot description, and current room is coral reef, which should be location 0. So there should be a dot name and a dot description here. So it's not quite clear what's missing here. This looks like you're getting an uncaught type error when you try and access description. Make sure you have correctly defined the current room object in your code. Let's see if that's, well, let's see if it is. Okay. And we have current room. The current room equals coral reef. So let's look back at the error here. Cannot read properties of undefined. Let me just refresh this one more time and try south and see what happens this time. South. Cannot read properties of undefined. On line 29. Let's take a close look at 29 again. So it's got document get element by ID description. .inner HTML. So I'm going to put a breakpoint on here on line 29 and see if that helps. So we've got document, get element by ID. So yeah, that's where it's having a problem. Let's try manually splitting this into multiple pieces. So description block, let's see if it can find the description, and then description block, setting the inner HTML. So we got a description block, it found something and is trying to set the HTML. And let's see then if current room maybe is having a problem getting description from current room, because current room, oh wait a minute, current room, I thought I got current room and coral reef mixed up because they both start, oh no, there, current room equals coral reef. So if I do this refresh and I check on current room, it's thinking current room is not set. And why would that be? Let current room equal coral reef. And so it says make sure that you have correctly defined current room in your code. If the object is not defined correctly, make sure current room has a description property. Check the browser console. So we are looking in the browser console and current room is being set. Let's put a breakpoint on that and actually see it being set. Okay, so it's stopping on current room here. And if I look at current room down here, it has a value. And I'm pushing F8 to let it run, and then I type north. And now if I type current room again, it's not defined anymore. So I'm going to tell chatbot what's going on. Current room is being initialized. Correctly, but no longer has a value when clicking go. So let's see what happens when we click go. So I think that is the submit action that's happening there, and actions, document actions. So it's got the actions form. I don't know if I really want this to be a form, because that's kind of acting like it's going to submit it to a web server. And really, I just want a button that's not a submit button. Input, I'm going to try input type equals button here. Does it have any idea about that? I'm going to ask, can we change the go button to, can we eliminate the form and change the go button to a plain input button to retain context. So you kind of have to be familiar with the kind of problems that you encounter to know what questions to ask if this works. I'm not even sure it is the cause, but you can see chatbot wasn't particularly helpful in debugging that issue. But it does help me fix the syntax once I know what the issue is more quickly than I might be able to on my own. So I'll copy the new game div. And now that's just a button. And here's the new handler for that button. Instead of submit, it's checking the button. Let's refresh that. Take off these breakpoints. Well, yeah. Just let it go and hit north. Oh, still having problems. Line 28. Description block, inner HTML, current room. So this current room is in the context, or in the scope of the global script block. And it's got an event handler for when the button is clicked. And let's see if there's any trace of that current room or the locations when we get in here. Setting a breakpoint. Locations, that still has its value, current room. So I think the constants are set, but this let variable is not set. And what's it saying about retaining? See, again, by asking the question the way I did, I fooled it into thinking that that was the fix when it wasn't really the fix. And so the handler for the go button does not appear to share the scope of the current location or the current room. Can the value of current room be retained? It's taken its sweet time and found an error. So experience an error. I can hit regenerate and we'll see if it works any better the second time around. So it's going to try a little better this time. If it's not being retrained, it's likely because the variable is not in the same scope, which is picked up from my suggestion. Who knows if it's actually the reason, but We'll take his word for it for now. This means the variable is not visible to the function. It's unable to access or modify value. To fix this, you can either move current room. Well, let's see if there's another version of current room defined somewhere that's interfering with this. Current room. Nope, there's just one, and it's in the global script block. And what's it saying to do? Let current room onload equals function. Alright, so maybe it's because I moved all of that code into the global scope when it should be part of a function. So I'm going to tell it that I am not using XHR. I'm not using XHR. Where did that code go? XHR. Can I use document instead? Oh, window onload. It knows what I meant. I'm a little rusty on my HTML, so that's where chatbot can help shortcut a few of my errors. So it's probably basically the same thing, except it's going to be window onload instead of XHR onload. So I'm going to copy that because it's going to take a while to output all that again. And where are we doing? So we got window onload. Now, did it really want that current room outside of that scope? It did. Well, now it's got all the code. I'll just copy that. So the locations should be up here. And now wait a minute. Okay. I think the locations we want up here with the declaration of current room. Not sure how to get that indentation right now, but and I can delete the rest of this. And refresh this. And it says cannot read properties null on inner HTML on line 22. So it's trying to parse locations. I don't need to do that. Locations is already defined within the file. So now let's type north. Turn off the breakpoint. Well, let's see if current room is defined. It is. That's a good sign. Now it doesn't like reading description. So let's do that again. Current room. Now it's undefined. Let's try that. Refreshing that. And again, type north. We do have a current room. F8. Nope. Try that again. I think I pushed the wrong key. North. And I want to step one line of code. That's F11. Or no. Step over is F10. We still have current room dot north, current room equals window current room north. So we don't have anything that says what north should do. So that's the piece that chatbot has left out. Current room dot north is undefined. Not current room. Yeah, it is current room dot north. So how can we tell it to restructure this? It's got name, coral reef description, and then it's got north is shipwreck and south is... So it's trying to refer to north as the actual location, when what we really need is this window needs to be locations. So I'm going to tell it about its mistake, since I think I understand it. When moving north, the code, well, does it understand it? What did it put here? North property on your JSON data. So it's defined that way already. When moving north, the code is trying to reference window instead of locations. Well, I'll say, should it be using? When moving north, the code is trying to reference window current room north. Should it be using locations north? So it agrees, and it sure looks like it understands the problem at this point, but it did take some prodding. It can sound really smart when it thinks it knows what it's talking about. And if you get it to know what it's talking about, it can sound smart, but sometimes it'll sound really smart and be completely wrong. So here it has corrected itself. I'm going to copy that code where it's checking the input value into the text editor here. So if it's south or north, did it have the else included? I don't understand, it says. So I got to include the I don't understand piece and then indent it. And now it is referring to locations. Let's see if that does it. Type north. Can't read properties of undefined. Line 30 has a problem. So let's check it again. Current room is undefined. Let's refresh the page. Okay, so now current room still has a value at this point, and I'm trying to go north. And then current room. So current room, this is indexed by name and description, so it's not going to find a location, and whose index is, what's it looking for? It should find, well, let's try that one more time. North. Current room dot north is shipwreck. So it should be looking up location whose index is shipwreck, but there is no index on locations because each one is just a name and a description. So I'm going to tell chatbot that locations is not indexed by how can I fix this? And I could probably figure out a way to fix this if I thought about it, but it would require some significant structural changes on the way the JSON has been written, and maybe chatbot can restructure that for me. So it's going to show me how to restructure locations to index it by name instead of by number. And so I've already got the JSON parsed. I don't need that piece of it. But then it's got a room map. Let's see if we can simplify this somehow, because I believe we can not index it numerically and just have the word be the index. And just have a map in the locations structure maps to a location. Give it a moment. Again, it thinks it can. It's going to try, maybe. Might give up, we'll see. So I'm fighting with chatbot way more than I should have to this time around. I'd probably be better off structuring the JSON myself and then asking it to just generate some content for me. But at least we can learn the limitations and challenges that chatbot gives us. It seems to be stuck. look back at this code here. I think what I'm going to end up with, or what I would want, is, and now my JavaScript's rusty, which is why chatbot, I want chatbot's help here, but either a square bracket or a curly bracket, and then instead of name, I just want coral reef, and then after the colon, I want a curly braced enclosed object that includes a description and some other locations. And probably this object here is what I want. But instead of coral reef being a name, I want that to kind of be the key. So I kind of want coral reef, colon, and then the rest of this in curly braces. Is chatbot going to help me figure that out? Error. Let's give it one more try. Unfortunately, ChatGPT is so popular that so many people are using it. It gets overloaded sometimes and becomes unavailable and just starts returning errors for everyone. But I got past it here. So it's again taking the location JSON and restructuring it into a separate array or map. I'm going to ask it if the map can be incorporated into the initial definition of the JSON. Can it be incorporated into the initial JSON structure instead of computed at runtime? For example, shipwreck colon description blah and north colon blah. See if that's enough to get it to understand what I suspect we want. So it sees that what I'm doing is using an object instead of an array. Because, yeah, I did mix up my square brackets versus curly brackets, and it knows what should be there instead of what I suggested. And is providing the keys as text values now instead of name description pairs or numeric indexes in an array. So I can take this content and copy that into my JSON portion of the HTML file. And now it's more nicely formatted. So let's save that and see if that's finally going to give us something that works. North. Step over that. Current room.north. Let's refresh that. Try again. Input is north. Current room is not defined. Oh, because it's not. Alright, so how do we get the current room initialized? Did it suggest that? So I just need to, I could ask chatbot to do it for me, but at this point, having fought chatbot as much as I have, I think I just want to hardwire current room to be, I don't want these. I told it that I didn't want these, and it hasn't shown me those since, so those are kind of out of the picture. And I say I want current room to start at coral reef, so it's locations, coral reef. Try one more refresh on this. North. Current room is undefined. Current room. Okay, let's put a breakpoint here and see if I missed my spelling of coral reef. I did. Coral reef has a space. Turn off that breakpoint. Current room is the coral reef. I'm trying to go north. And current room dot north is going to be shipwreck. And we look up the shipwreck, and now the new location is shipwreck, and it's going to update the description. So it looks like it's working finally. But boy, that did take a lot of fighting with chatbot. So let me say south and see if we get back to the coral reef. Nope. South. So coral reef. Oh, it didn't map south and north symmetrically. So if I go north, it'll take me back. But let's try that. North takes me to the shipwreck. North again says you can't go that way. So the shipwreck. Oh no, it doesn't have north. So south should take me back to the coral reef, but it used the wrong spelling of coral reef. The location names in north and south are not consistent. The location map names and this would be easy to fix manually. It would be much harder if this was a huge already generated adventure and they were all mismatched. Unfortunately, if that were the case, it wouldn't be able to output that much code anyway, so I'm not sure this chatbot is helping a whole lot with something like this. Location names north and south. Process rotation data not consistent with location names. You'll need to modify or go down and see north and south properties to location names that are on the location map. Did it fix it? Yep, it took the space out of coral reef. Nope, it made a whole new name map. Instead of creating a name map, can just change the names of the locations consistent in the original JSON. Eliminate the need for name map. You can simply modify location names in north and south properties to be consistent with location names and location map. Okay, so it's not going to change the name of the location. It's going to change the reference in north or south. So shipwreck matches shipwreck. Coral reef matches coral reef now, and kelp forest matches kelp forest. All right, and oh, it's gonna give me that whole code again. I don't need the whole code. It's the same as before. Should be the same as before. But I'll copy the updated locations JSON content. And I can close that, I hope. Refresh this. Say north. Shipwreck. Can't go north again, so try and go south again. I'm in a shipwreck. Go back to the coral reef. Try and go south again. Can't go that way. Which way do I have to go? West? I think it didn't handle all the directions that it was supposed to, because west. Oh, east. Does it understand east? It doesn't understand, so please fill in the rest of that code. West and east commands. I'm kind of a fast typer. I probably could fix this faster than ChatBot could. Or I'm a fast copy paster. I just copy and paste this block and replace south with west. But let's see if ChatBot gets it right. All right, and we'll copy the updated code from here. Where did it start? Document element. Save that and try one more time. North. Still works, I hope. Nope, that got broken. Current location is undefined. What did I do to current location? Did it change the name of the variable to current location instead of current room? Why would you do that, ChatBot? It tries to be creative with code like it is with language, and that does not work so well. Let's go fix that. You can give it the same input multiple times and it'll give you different answers. Nice for creative poetic text and such, but not so much for code. Let's see if that fixes it. Location map. Did you change the name of location map also? Location map. Oh, what did you do? Where is it? Where's my find? Location map. I'm just going to change locations to location map. At this point, there's fewer of those. Location map. It's got a little too creative for its own good here, but hopefully we can fix it. Current location is not defined. It changed everything, didn't it? Current location, or I missed one. Location, current room, and current location. So which one am I using? I have current room, and I want current location to be current room. One more. Come on. Do we have it done yet? North works. North again. Properly stops me. South works. Let's see. Yep. South again. Blocks me. East, I believe, is the direction of the... What is it? Nope, not that way. Try west. Oh, not quite done yet. We're supposed to be able to go... Oh, maybe we have to go east from the coral reef? No. The shipwreck is... We started the coral reef, we go north of the shipwreck, and then we go east from there. It's not normally how we play a text adventure by looking at the code, but... Now let's try to go east. Yay! So it took a lot of fighting, more trouble than it's worth, but now can I ask it to add more locations? Let's see, add another location. And of course, we can't make this too big of a text adventure with the limited output size this has if it's going to want to give me the whole JSON every time, but I might be able, I have with my other text adventure said just show me the new location and the affected exits for other rooms, and you might be able to indefinitely expand your adventure that way. For now, I'm just going to ask it to add a location. It'll probably give me the whole JSON content. I will try after this, see if I can tell it to add a location and only give me the new location and the affected other locations that link to it, and see if we could potentially expand this adventure indefinitely that way. Copy this. So we can go north. Can't go north from there. Can I go west? East? East again? No. North? Let's just cheat. East from the shipwreck. That's the original location, so I gotta go back to the shipwreck. Oops. Okay, I'm at the shipwreck, and I can go... I want to go east from the coral reef to get to the underwater cave, so I'm going to go south. And underwater cave. If I go west, do I go back? Yes. Now, just one last point of curiosity. Add another location. Only show me the new location data. The new location and the locations that link to it. So now it's more in a creative mode, hopefully having to struggle less with the code. But it does rely on remembering the whole structure of the map that we've laid out to make sure that it remembers what's east of what and what's north of what, so that the symmetrical returns are all there. So we can add new location. I need to modify the JSON. Here's an example. Add a new location called underwater cave. Now we already added underwater cave, and it's showing us more than so I'm having less success in getting it to only show me the things that have changed today. I'll try one more thing. Generate one more new location named sunken ship. Let's see, we already have a shipwreck. What else could we put underwater? Kelp forest. Suggest another location name. Oops, I gotta wait for it to finish its previous response first. Maybe an underwater biodome, if it doesn't come up with a good one here. Underwater temple. Sunken city. Sunken city. Show me the JSON for sunken city and just the locations that link to it. No, it's connected to coral reef. Oh, did it replace the cave with the sunken city? And shipwreck doesn't link to sunken city, so it shouldn't have output that. But I think I've done about as much as I'm going to do in this demonstration. You can see a lot about the limitations and what is interesting about chatbot as well. Its creativity helps you get the syntax right, but doesn't necessarily understand what you want or need to do. But it is fun to play with. So I'm going to wrap up this demo here, and thanks for watching. If you want me to play with any other chatbot suggestions, let me know, and maybe I'll make another video.